In this video, I'm going to talk about how trauma splits the psyche and what you can do to heal it. Now, firstly, this information comes from Carl Jung psychology and Donald Kalsched. I don't know if I pronounced his last name correctly, but Donald studied Carl Jung psychology, so he's like an expert in it. He wrote the book Trauma and the Soul. And I learned about this in a coaching certification program that I'm currently in. And our mentor encouraged us to read an article called Unlocking the Secrets of the Wounded Psyche. And this is an interview where Donald is interviewed by a lady called Daniela. I don't know how to say her last name either. But the article was a very interesting read, so that's why I wanted to make a video and share this on YouTube. So what happens is we come into this world as a happy little baby. That's why it has a little smiling face. You're pure, you're connected, you still have a strong connection to source and spirit, you're innocent, you're this happy little innocent baby. And then in the first 0 to 5 years of your life, you experience trauma. And the trauma causes splits in your psyche. And so a piece of your psyche splits off and goes off into the unconscious mind. You can still experience trauma after the age of 5 and create these splits in your psyche as well. But the first 5 years of your life is the most important because a child is operating in theta brainwave. They don't have a conscious mind yet. They only have the subconscious mind. And this is why they will soak things up like a sponge. And so this is where all your programming gets done as well. And so we experience all different types of trauma. We have a capital T for trauma, like the bigger stuff, you know, physical abuse, sexual abuse, that sort of thing. And then you have a little t for like the smaller types of trauma, because trauma can come in so many different forms. Trauma isn't the situation that happened, it's the way you respond to it. And if you experience trauma, even if it's a small little trauma type thing, if you don't have, like as a child, if you don't have a parent to help you deal with what you're experiencing with that trauma, then it becomes unresolved and gets stored in the body. So trauma could be things like abuse, shamed, abandoned, not allowed to be yourself. It can come in so many different forms. An example of a very small trauma could be, let's say you have a 3-year-old and their parents like, we're going to go get ice cream. So the 3-year-old's all excited, like, yeah, we're going to get some ice cream. And then they get the ice cream and then the 3-year-old may drop it on the ground. And they start freaking out and crying like they've just lost their ice cream. That can be trauma. Trauma does not have to come just from a big event. It comes from all these little things as well. So to an adult, dropping an ice cream on the ground isn't really a big deal. But to a little 3-year-old child, it is. Right? And so, again, trauma can come from so many different things. And then what happens when we experience the trauma is your psyche will, a piece of that innocent, pure version of you splits off and becomes lost, hidden, or protected. It splits off and goes off into the unconscious mind. So an example of this could be, like, let's say you have a little boy, a little 4-year-old boy. He's pure, he's innocent, and he loves dancing. Makes him happy. And so he's dancing at home, and then he gets shamed by his dad. His dad makes fun of him. He says it's girly to dance, and so he feels shame. And so his own father's shamed him. He's a little 4-year-old boy, and so he creates that split in his psyche. That part of him that loves to dance splits off, goes off into his unconscious mind, and he forgets. He never wants to dance again. And he grows up forgetting that he actually enjoyed dancing. He grows up hating dancing. He may get a girlfriend who wants to dance with him. And he's like, no, I don't dance. They get married. She's like, please dance with me on the wedding. You know, like, no, I don't want to dance. And he doesn't even remember why he hates dancing. He doesn't remember that he actually used to love it. And so the idea is doing the healing work to find your split off parts. So let's say he does some healing work and he has that realization that, hang on a minute, I used to love dancing. Oh my God, my dad shamed me for it. Right? He found a split off part. The idea is to find them so that you integrate it and become whole again. He remembered he loved dancing. And once he has that realization, he gets back into dancing again. So I hope that example made sense. So what ends up happening when we have the piece of psyche that splits off and becomes lost, hidden, and protected is we create ego defense mechanisms. Right? This is why this unhappy person here has a shield that's supposed to be a shield and a sword, because you create these ego defense mechanisms to keep you safe. And this can come in many different forms. These are only a few examples. So we have aggression, closed off, perfectionism, overachiever, self-sabotage. There's dance. You may wonder what that is. So dance is like, let's say, you don't really like playing basketball, but you play on the basketball team because you get positive attention from your dad. So you're doing it, you're dancing, you're performing to get dad's attention because dad likes you doing it, but you don't actually like doing it. So that's what dance is. People pleaser, escape or withdrawal. So there's many more ego defense mechanisms, but that's what happens is we experience trauma, we experience different types of trauma, we create these different splits in our psyche that go off into hiding, and then we replace it with an ego defense mechanism. So let's say the little boy that used to dance now as an adult man, if you mention dancing, he may get aggressive about it because he I don't like dancing, you know what I mean? That's his ego defense mechanism. Now, I hope this all makes sense, but I want to share an analogy for this, right? Because it's really important to do the healing work. The healing work involves finding those, the split off parts so that you can integrate them and become whole again. This is a great way to heal yourself and resolve the wounds and the traumas. So I want to share an analogy for this because I love analogies. I feel like it's a cool way to communicate things to people. So check this analogy out. Now this glass of water represents you as this innocent, pure little baby that has come into the world. And then you experience life and start experiencing trauma. And you start suppressing emotions in the body. You create ego defense mechanisms. You create a shadow self. You store trauma in your nervous system. And this is what ends up happening. We're all walking around with unresolved wounds, unresolved trauma, a lot of suppressed emotions in the body, trauma stored in our nervous system. And this is what creates problems in our life. This creates problems that you may not even be aware of. And this is why we start the healing journey. So as we start the healing journey, healing doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. It takes time to heal your wounds. But over time, you heal more and more. You clear out the stored energy from your nervous system. You become aware of your shadow self so you can integrate it and become whole again. You go on the journey to become pure again. This is what healing's about. It's a process, it's a journey that we all must go on. And when we become pure again, this is how we can create a much better life for ourselves. Now, I hope the analogy helped you to understand the importance of healing. So now I'm going to share 5 healing tips. The first tip is self-compassion and self-care. So it's important to approach your split off parts with compassion because they were formed to protect you. Healing isn't an easy journey, but it's an important journey. And so you want to treat yourself with compassion and incorporate self-care activities. The second tip I have is body awareness. So pay attention to physical sensations, emotional triggers, or intense reactions to certain situations. These can point to your split off parts. The third tip is to do shadow work. Shadow work is another way to find your split off parts so that you can integrate them and become whole. Now, if you don't know how to do shadow work, I do have a video that I will link at the end of this one. It's a shadow work for beginners. It will teach you what you need to know so you can get started in doing your shadow work. But this will help you to find these split off parts. My fourth tip is somatic breath work. Now, somatic breath work is extremely powerful. When we experience trauma and it's unresolved, we end up storing energy in the nervous system. We all have suppressed emotions in our nervous system. We carry these things around in the body. The body is the unconscious mind. And so the key to bringing up this energy, this energy that's been stored in your nervous system from this unresolved trauma or from these suppressed emotions, is by using somatic breath work. And this is where you can't do this by yourself. You need to have a practitioner that basically takes you through the process using somatic breath work. It's using your breath in a specific type of way, and it causes you to bring up this energy, and it will come out either, screaming, you could be laughing, you could be crying during these breathwork sessions. That's the energy leaving the body. So that's what you're aiming for with somatic breath work. It's a great way to release energy out of the nervous system. And as you do that, you can experience profound shifts in your reality just by having this energy release. Now, you may be thinking, well, how do I do somatic breath work? Yes, you do need to find a practitioner that, like an expert, that will run a session. However, I'm currently in a coaching certification program at the moment. And once I am a certified coach, I've created like a 6-month coaching program. Once I'm a certified coach, I will have access to a somatic breathwork session that I will be able to give to my clients to use. And I will also get access to a QHHT session, which stands for Quantum Hypnosis Healing Technique, which you can use that for bringing up things from your subconscious mind to help you find aspects of your shadow self. And so both of these things will be available in my coaching program once I'm certified. So I just wanted to put that out there. Now, the last tip I have, this tip is something that you can start applying today. So you don't have to wait until you can do a somatic breathwork session. Now, what this tip is using Dr. David Hawkins' letting go technique. The letting go technique is another very simple technique that you can do by yourself. You don't need a practitioner. You can do this by yourself. And it's another way of bringing or releasing the energy out of your nervous system. And so what the letting go technique is whenever you experience a negative emotion, because we all have suppressed negative emotions in our body that we basically shove down, and these suppressed emotions keep trying to come back up, and as they try to come back up, we keep shoving them back down. And what we actually need to do is release them instead of shoving them back down. So the letting go technique is the technique for releasing these suppressed emotions. So what you do is whenever you experience a negative emotion, a heavy emotion, what we tend to do is resist it. We suppress it, we may even express it, but expressing it still causes us to suppress it in the body. Or we may escape, use distractions. It could be food, TV, alcohol, whatever, right? So instead of doing that, instead of resisting it and distracting yourself, you accept the emotion without judgment. Just like acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling negative right now. Accept it. Let it be there. Allow it. By allowing it, you're not resisting it. So you're allowing it, which means that the emotion is able to run its course and it ends up clearing itself out of your body. So you just want to sit with it, be present, observe the emotion, observe the physical sensations in your body. That's the letting go technique. And you'll know you've let go. You'll feel the release. You'll feel a release and you'll feel lighter and more uplifted. When you feel lighter and uplifted, that's the sign that you've let it go. And so that's a technique you can start using today to start releasing some of this stored energy from your nervous system. So I hope you like this video and you got value. And if you did, let me know by hitting the like button or write a comment. If you like this sort of content, make sure you subscribe. And I'm going to leave 2 follow-up videos. So I'll leave a follow-up video for shadow work for beginners if you want to learn how to do your shadow work. The second video I will link is going to be about the letting go technique and the book Letting Go, which is where I learned it from. It's my top 5 powerful lessons from letting go. So if you want a better understanding around using this technique, I recommend watching that video as well. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you on the next one. Peace.